Hello, it is I, the alcoholic audio engineer, coming to you from lovely, scenic Paju City, South Korea, in the wee hours of, what is it now? Monday, July 22nd, 12:39 a.m. Yes, so I've done some cleanup detail on this project, and I mentioned in an earlier installment of this series that sometimes you kind of take a step back and do some cleanup, and that's what I've done. Done some cleanup detail, made some various decisions. And I just want to go over some of that with you and, show you a few extra features of this software, Cakewalk, of VST plugins, what those are about. I'm going to introduce those into the tutorial lessons now. We're going to start moving outside and beyond the Pro channel. We started there in a responsible fashion, and it's come time to step outside and beyond the Pro channel and into the realm of the judicious and responsible use of plugins, external plugins that now there are some native Cakewalk plugins that are sort of technically external from the Pro channel. They come bundled with Cakewalk, but there are also a great many plugins out there. Many plugins out there. And you never need to pay for them, really. It's really a waste of money. And there are various reasons for saying that. But the main reason is that there are so many great free plugins, that are free that, unless you've just got money burning holes in your pockets, there's absolutely no reason ever to pay for plugins. All right? So where to start? I am going to introduce you to wave editing in this tutorial. But I'm not going to start with that. What am I going to start with? Okay, well, here we have the console view of the project as it stands now. And you can see that console view, we're in console view. You can see that Pro channel is active for everything. Okay, all 4 tracks of the mix, the master channel, master bus, the reverb bus, and you can see that I have a new bus. I've created a new bus for drums. Okay, and as it stands right now, that's the kick and the snare that I recorded this morning. I'm only running the kick and the snare through the drums bus. What does the drums bus consist of? First off, let's look into the Pro channel for the drums bus. You can see that I've clicked on drums. Here we've got the channel strip for drums, and I click on Pro channel, and you can see that I've got something called, so we've got our usual console emulator, tube, stage, equalizer, and compressor. I don't have the compressor activated in the drums bus because the kick and the snare have already been individually compressed. I don't want to compress them again. All right. I don't want to. I might want to add further stages of compression in the effects rack, in the plug-in effects racks of those. All right, but I have to be careful about it. So, anyways, I'm not going to recompress them in the Pro channel in this bus, in this drums bus. I did apply what's the name of the preset I applied? Mix bus, less mud, and tighten. So in this case, what that means is a little bit of a low mid-range scoop here. It just we don't really need those frequencies, and it kind of leaves a little bit more space for other things. Moving down the Pro channel, I did activate the tube saturation stage. It emulates tube warmth. If you don't know what tubes are all about, do a web search. But tubes. Before there were transistors, there were tubes. And there still are tubes. People love tubes, especially audio people love tubes. They create a tonal warmth that's highly favored. And this is supposed to emulate that. I chose a drum bus warm because this is a drum bus. So why not? I gave it a shot. I decided I didn't dislike it. Kind of like it. Got my console emulator set for Neve. It's a famous brand of consoles, right? Comes out of England, UK. Your highly prized consoles. And so I added a stage called Shaper, and what that does is it adds attack. Okay, sharpens the attack. And finally, I wanted the drums to have a distinct reverb, a reverb that was distinct from the guitar and the vocals. I mentioned earlier that we can use different reverbs to sort of clarify and delineate different parts in the sonic space, in the audio space. So that's what I've done, and I chose an EQ setting called Drums Up Front. Right. So let me see here. What else? Before I start, the playback and A/Bing, toggling things on and off for you so you can hear what it is that I've done. Let me see. And now I have, as you can see, in the effects rack stage, which is after the Pro channel stage. Actually, that's by choice, but I won't talk. I'm not going to get into that now. The effects rack stage. You can see here in the main vocal, in the guitar track, I don't have any plugins in the effects rack. Main vocal, I've got 3. 1, 2, 3. In the kick drum, I've got 1. And in the snare, I've got 2. And so I'm going to go through the reasons for why I inserted those plugins, why I chose them, and what I've used them for. All right. So, and I also have 2 plugins in the master bus, but I'm not going to activate them in this tutorial, I don't think. Okay. Yeah. So I've done all this, on my own outside of the actual tutorial time, because I do need to. It would make these tutorials an awful lot longer if I were to do all this tweaking and thinking and deciding, in real time, so to speak, in tutorial time. It would be too long and tedious. So much better to do that as kind of homework, and then come back and go over it and kind of explain it in hindsight, as it were. Okay, so yeah, I guess what I'll do is I'll just go back and play it as it stands right now. Everything is switched on. Everything that I chose and inserted and changed, everything's switched on except for, again, the plugins in the master channel. I'm not going to click those on this tutorial. Here we go. All right, so if you have been following along with these tutorials, you probably hear quite a difference at this point. It's a very different mix now. And just for the sake of comparison, I'm going to switch everything off. All right, I'm switching off all the Pro channels. Disabling all the Pro channels, and I'm disabling all of the plug-in effects racks. Well, there's nothing in that one anyway. Okay, and here's what it sounds like, dry. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, it is what it is. And what you do with that, it's raw signal. It is the grist for the mill. What you choose to do with it is entirely up to you, entirely up to your individual taste, your sensibilities, how much you want to refine it, polish it, process it, to what degree, and in what fashion. It's all entirely up to you. I'm just here to show you, how it's done, so that you can go about making your own decisions, production decisions. Naturally, I'm going to tend to sort of work according to my tastes. This is the kind of sound I like. This is how I tend to do things. If it's not your cup of tea, you can do things your way. This is the original. These are the original signals, leveled. And by the way, as long as we're speaking of levels, let's just scroll down here. Now that's clipped. Interesting. I had meant to check for this anyway. Let's just go through the unmixed dry signals to only the leveled signals and see where we are peaking or clipping in the master channel. Okay, we are clipping. Or we clipped.
Well, I have had it up here with all the fake ass laws. I am nothing but.
So in general, you know, mostly it's peaking around -2. But there are a few clips here and there. I'm not really concerned with that. The compression stages are taking care of that. And above all, you know, at the end of the day, you always trust your ears. You use your ears, you use your brain. And with more practice, you know, the more practice and experience you get, the better you get at, the better your ears get. Right. So, but, you know, in the end, I mean, I follow principles and protocols and all that, but in the end, I always follow my ears. So I'm not worried about that, the occasional clipping there. I'm sure there are those out there that would argue with me, but yeah, I don't care. This is the way I do things, and I'm generally happy with the results. So, and if there's, you know, there might be at some point, if this channel ever gets viewed. Don't get me started ranting about the YouTube algorithm. It doesn't care about alcoholics, you know, who might benefit from a new hobby, which, you know, I've done everything I know to make it clear to the algorithm that that's all I'm trying to do. Trying to find those who are struggling with addiction and dependency. Trying to reach out to them, teach them a hobby to help them out. And you know, I don't know. The view count is. I could understand it if you know, I'm actually getting views but no response. You know, or you know, not a corresponding increase in subscribers, but just I'm not getting the initial views at all. I mean, I just not what it should be. The algo doesn't care about us. That's why a lot of successful YouTube content creators are leaving in droves these days, from what I can see. They resent having to serve the algo rather than you know, create content that they want to create. Anyway, that's why I'm also building this up at Rumble. So, but anyway, onward, Christian soldier. Yeah, where was? Oh yeah. So at some point, you know, there might be. Yeah, I won't get into that rant. You know, if you're sitting there and you're nitpicking at me about gain staging. Oh, this guy doesn't know anything about gain staging. He's not gain staging. Yeah, I know about gain staging. I know all about gain staging. All right, and if you're pointing your finger at me about gain staging, feeling all superior, you know, yeah, we used to say we used to talk about book learning, right? There's book learning, and then there's, you know, real experience. In your case, it's probably not book learning, it's probably YouTube learning. All right. Yeah, I'm not setting my recording input levels at, you know, between -18 and -12 so far. Because number one, you know, so far I've been tracking everything through a microphone, a USB microphone, right? And even with a 24-bit 96 kilohertz USB microphone and tracking at that level, there's still room. There's still such thing as a noise floor. All right. And so I'm tracking things as hot as I can through this microphone. And even when I'm tracking through my audio interface, I don't do that tracking at minus 18 to minus 10 or whatever that is. Keeping all of my faders at unity 0. I don't do that either. Because reasons. Anyways, I digress. That was beginners. I'm sorry. I don't mean to try your patience. That was for more experienced guys. Anyway, not worried about the clipping. Again, dry signal. I'll just turn everything back on one by one. Where should I start? Okay. Guitar. Kick. Snare.
Well, I have had it up
Vocal.
here with all their fake ass laws.
Reverb.
I am nothing but a walking case of probable.
Drums bus.
Sometimes I think this world ain't nothing but a set of them
Vocal effects track.
designed to chew up perfection and spit it into
Quite the difference.
when I am plotting my escape.
Kick.
The only thing that gives me pause is that gorilla in the corner of the room.
Snare.
That gorilla in the corner of the room. He's so heavy, so heavy.
That's progress if I do say so myself. And I do. Let me see, what do we have here? Guitar. I want all the console emulators in the Neve warm with rich low end. I'm going to do that real quick. Main vocal. I want everything in the same console emulator. Why not? As if I'm actually in a studio with a Neve console. Why the hell not? Okay, snare. Alright, there we go. Master, that's already reverb. What's that? Let me see. Yeah. Neve. And drums. Okay. Yeah, that's set to Neve. Okay. All right. I guess at this point, okay, I went back. I went through and as part of my cleanup and polishing, I corrected all the, I cleaned up the kick and the snare. I've got a very poor sense of timing when I'm whacking something with a stick. We all have our limitations. And, yeah. But I don't let it stop me. I just, I'm not much of a live performer anyway, I'm a studio guy. I love doing this, is what I do. So I don't let it stop me. I just, I make up for my deficiencies. And so I'm going to show you a little bit about waveform editing, which is how I cleaned up the kick and the snare to, get them in time. I corrected timing errors in my tracking, in my recording of those parts. And I'll show you what that looks like. And then we're going to come back to console view, and we're going to talk about these plugins and what they do. All right. So it's now 25 and a half minutes into the tutorial. I'm going to have to remember that because I'm going to put a note. If you want to fast forward to the waveform editing part, here it is. Okay, so we're going into track view, and I'm going to fit project. Boom. All right, so we got 4 tracks, and as you can see, you look at the kick and the snare tracks, and they're all chopped up, diced up, and that's the result of all the waveform editing I did. And now let me show you what that looks like when I stretch it out. All right, that's what it looks like. Okay, so these are all individual beats, and you can see here, right there, right there. Okay. This is every time, I felt that the beat was just slightly out of whack. Now, here's a note, something to be noted. I could have corrected the beats to the click track. Okay, exactly to the click track, and I chose not to. And the reason for that is that being human, and being a human who has who's especially sort of challenged in terms of, I'm not particularly talented in terms of my timing, right? Also with the guitar, I'm not perfect when it comes to playing to the metronome. Click track, sometimes I say click track, I mean metronome. But that's okay. I'm not going to pull my hair out, retracking and retracking and retracking that guitar to get it perfectly to a metronome that we're not going to hear in the final mix anyway. As long as it's close enough and it sounds steady enough to the ear and the brain, in the absence of the metronome. If it sounds good, it sounds right, then I'm happy with it. And so, I sang to the guitar part. I tracked the kick and the snare parts, imperfectly to the vocal and the guitar part. So, I did my timing error correction on the kick and snare parts to jive with the guitar and vocal together. Sometimes I'm just a lot of times without the vocal, I'm just doing it to the guitar without listening to the metronome. All right. So if I solo the kick and the snare and just play them back solo, you're going to hear, a little bit of speeding up here, a little bit of slowing down there. It's elastic. It's not machine perfect. And that's fine. I don't want machine perfect. It's not it's not necessarily desirable to that machine perfect thing. Anyway, you do you. So this is what the edits look like every time you see these lines here. All right, that's where I've shifted a beat. you know, forward or backward. Usually backward, to the left. Usually to the left, because I tend to hit a little bit late, just a few milliseconds late. So I intentionally left the, here's the kick, that's the 1, here's the snare, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, kick, 1, 3, 1, 3. Look at the 1 and the 3 on the kick, those are on time, and look at the 2 on the snare. You see how it's not exactly in the middle between the 1 and the 3? That means it's late. It's late. It needs to be shifted to the left. All right? And so you can see that visually, and you can hear it right now. Listen. You hear it? It's a little bit late. You can hear it. One more time. All right, so here is how to take a beat and shift it to the right or to the left. In this case, to the left. Left to make it occur earlier, right to make it occur later. Here's how to do it. This is, if you're new to all this, this is your first lesson in waveform editing. And it's very simple. Here's how it goes. This is a good lesson to start with because it's very, very easy. There's nothing going on between the beats, okay? So I don't have to be very careful. I don't have to be very precise at all. I'm just going to make a selection. Left click on the mouse, left click and drag, and select it. Okay, make sure I get the whole envelope. And just to show you what that means, I stretch it out here. All right, and there's my selection. Okay, it's selected well before the attack. It includes well after the decay. But there's nothing here, and there's nothing there. It doesn't matter to the ear. I don't have to be precise, you know. Sometimes when you're doing this stuff, you've got to be really precise. All right? You don't want to be really precise and get it exactly. I don't have to do that here. That's good, right there. And I want to get it like right in the middle. All right? So there's two things I can do. I can manually left click and drag with the mouse like that. You see that? Okay. That's you can do that, but I'm going to Control Z, and here that's actually not a bad thing to do. But oftentimes the amount that you need to nudge the beat is so small that it's kind of it can be difficult to do with the mouse. Okay. Difficult to do with precision with the mouse. And so I'm going to use process nudge. And here's what process nudge looks like. Up here at the top, you see that there's File, Edit, Views, Insert, Process. So in the Process pull-down menu, I go to Nudge. And then a new menu pops out to the right, and you see left 1, right 1, left 2, right 2, left 3, right 3. Okay, so 1 is the least amount of nudge, and 3 is the most amount of nudge. Looking at this here, I'm guessing it's going to be probably a nudge of 2 to the left, but it might be 3. I'm gonna select a nudge left 2, and I'm gonna look at where it ends up, and I should be able to tell visually if that's gonna be enough or if I have to do left 3 nudge. So let's take a look. All right, and yeah, that's not going to be enough actually. That's quite late. So I'm going to well, undo. I'm going to probably even a nudge 3 is not going to be enough. So left 3, and as you can see, it's still not really in the middle yet. So I'm going to let's see, maybe another left 2. Okay, that might be right there in the middle. So let's give it a listen. I'm just going to zoom out here a little bit. All right. That's fine. It's in time now. And that's how you move a beat. And that's waveform editing. That's why you need track view. That's one time when you need track view. Because obviously you can't see the tracks in console view, so you can't do this kind of work in console view. All right, so there's that lesson. That's how that's done. Save. Okay, and with that, I'm going to go back into let's fit project there. Oh yeah, there's one more thing I'm going to do. Now, I could leave this kick and snare track as they are, you know, if I want to, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just I'd rather not, you know, see all the chopped up bits of my editing. Yeah, I'm done with that. There might be a beat here, a beat there that I might have missed, you know, but it's pretty much done. So now I'm going to show you how to mix down an individual track. You're going to see what I mean and what I'm doing as I go along. You might as well start learning about mix downs. So, you know, what do you do when you're happy with your mix, you're finished with your mix, and you want to you know, put it on your phone, listen to it through your headphones. You want to you know, listen to it in the car. You want to listen to it outside of your DAW. You mix it down, generally to MP3. For other purposes, you might mix it down to WAV or other lossless formats, they're called. For this purpose, I'm going to mix these this kick and this snare. I'm going to mix these two tracks down to WAV. I'm not going to mix the whole. I'm not going to mix down the whole mix, right? I'm just going to mix down the kick and then the snare, and then I'm going to re-import them. So this is what that looks like. I'm going to do a selection here with the left click on the mouse. I'm not straying over here into the snare track. I'm staying in the kick track. Okay, and you can see up at the ruler at the top, you see the green bracket up there? That is the beginning and the end of my mix down. That's where the DAW begins the mix down, and that's where the DAW ends the mix down. Okay. And let me just show you what that looks like. I'm going to go to File, Export, or Mix Down, Export, Audio. Oh, and you notice that I only, over here, you see, 3 is lit, 2 is not lit, 1 is not lit, 4 is not lit. It's only going to export track 3, the kick track. So, File, Export, Audio, Wave. All right. I want to give the track a name. choose export file name. Click. It's going to go to audio export. This is in my Gorilla Building a Song Cakewalk project folder in the audio export subfolder. Okay? So it's going to the correct destination. I'm going to give it a name. I'm just going to call it Kick. Save. It's going to be called kick.wave. I know where it's going to be. Don't worry about any of these settings. Actually, I am going to choose a sample rate of 48,000. That's just a safe. There's no reason to go over 48,000 unless you're going to be doing certain things that I'm not going to be doing. More on that later, maybe. See, channel format stereo. Bit depth, really 24 is fine. 24, 48,000. For most intents and purposes, 44,100, that's CD quality. We like to be a little bit. 48,000 is video quality. It's just good to keep it at 48,000, and it saves disk space. 96,000. You're using twice as much disk space, and we'll talk more about that later. 24 bits, plenty. It's fine. All right. Source category, tracks. Yeah. See. Wait a minute. Is this kick or snare? Darn it. I called this kick, didn't I? Yeah, kick.wave, kick. Yeah, it's kick. Right. Track 3, kick. And just see if this works. So here's the export button. Click export. It says up here, mixing down audio. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot something. I'm going to cancel. I'm going to hit the cancel button. Do you wish to keep the partially rendered audio? No. Here's what I forgot. I want to mix down the raw audio signal. I don't want it to be affected. So I'm going to undo. I'm going to disable the effects rack. And I'm going to disable the Pro channel. Disable the Pro channel. Let's see here. That's global on off. So I want the Pro channel off. I want the effects rack off. I want the raw audio. I wanted to export the raw audio into one continuous clip. Because when I re-import it, then it's going to be processed. It's going to run through the processing of the Pro channel and the processing of the effects. I don't want that processing done on the exported file. I hope this is clear. All right. Good that I remembered that. See, otherwise I would export it as a processed file, bring it back in, and then it would be getting reprocessed, and I don't want that. Right? All right. So export audio. It's still set to everything that I set it at. Now export. And you can see it says here mixing down audio, and it's moving faster now because it's not being processed. All right. Export audio successfully completed. Open export location. There it is. Local disk C, Cakewalk projects, Gorilla Building a Song. That's a project folder, and the subfolder within that is the audio export folder, and there's the kick track right there. So what I can do is this. I can, and so all this can be undone, if I made a mistake or anything, but I can select all these, And I just go to edit and cut. All right. And then I'm going to go to start. Right. So I'm there at the beginning. Now I'm going to go to File, Import, Audio, and okay, well, I need to navigate. All right, local C, Cakewalk Projects, Gorilla Building a Song, Audio Export. There's my kick track. And there it is. All right. So let's reactivate the Pro channel, and let's reactivate the effects rack. Let's make sure that everything's groovy, literally. Let's make sure it's all in time and everything. Yep. Yeah, it's in time. Worked out well. Going to do the same thing with the snare. So I select a snare track, and I'm just going to do left click on the mouse and select everything there, and you can see here that the snare track 4 is the track that's selected. Going to global, I'm off the Pro channel. I'm going to disable the effects rack there, so it's just a dry signal. Gonna go into File, Export, Audio. All right, now you can see I've got source category tracks, 4 snares selected. This time I'm going to go here and name my file Snare. Snare, Wave, 48,000, 24-bit. Dithering, don't worry about that right now. Okay, looks like everything is good to go. Export. All right. And same thing. I don't have to open that. And these are all still selected, so we'll just go to edit and cut. They're all gone. Yep, I'm at the beginning. File, import, audio. All right, this time it navigated right to the folder. Snare. Up here, it's doing a sample rate conversion. And there it is. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on my Pro channel, turn on my effects rack, and let's listen. Good. All right. That's sounding good. Just out of curiosity, I want to see these waveforms processed, what they look like processed. So once again, I hit the freeze track button. Now what that's doing is it's temporarily mixing down the track processed, and it's going to show me waveforms that reflect that processing, compression and everything else, compression EQ. It's going to change the way the waveform looks. All right, as you can see, it's a little bit bigger because of the compression, and I'm going to go ahead and just unfreeze it, undo that. I just want to see what it looked like. Do the same with the snare. If you freeze a track, you cannot go in and tweak the plugins and the other parameters. You have to unfreeze it to go back and tweak anything, change anything. All right, so that's not looking a whole lot different. A little bit more dynamic. That's kind of surprising. I've got a bit of a spike right there. I wonder what that's all about. That may be an something to take care of in the next cleanup. I'm not going to worry about. Well, let me see. I'm going to go right there and just like listen to it and see what's going on there. Well, I don't really hear anything. Nothing really stood out. All right. Not going to worry about that right now. I'm going to go back into console view. And you can see that I've got the, I've re-leveled the kick and the snare. Based on their perceived volumes, levels, once they've been processed by the plugins. And you're going to see what I mean here in a minute. So let's start with drums, kick, snare. Let's see. I want you to hear what I did with these plugins in the effects rack here. What I did was, all right, so I already told you in the drums bus, I used this shaper plugin to give them more attack. So let's listen to what that sounds like. Let me see. I'm going to go ahead and I think solo kick and snare. Okay. Back to the drums bus. And back to earlier in the song. I'm going to disable the shaper. And on again. Not only attack, in this case, it really didn't seem to, sharpen the attack all that much, but it does, it seems to be doing something more EQ-like. I could just say that to my ears, it seems to make the drums cut through the mix a bit better. And I'm just going to go ahead and unsolo them, and maybe you'll agree. Okay, drums. Here we are in the shaper again. I'm just going to play the drums in the whole mix and A/B the shaper, and we'll see if I was right. Off. On.
That gorilla in the corner of the room. He's so heavy, so heavy. He's so heavy, so heavy. Once upon a time I lost a piece of my mind to a flash of summer lightning, almost rendered me blind.
It's quite subtle. I just think it adds a little more, again, it just seems to help the drums cut through the mix a little bit, give them a little bit more definition. I may change my mind later on. I am considering using another shaper. I chose to use this shaper at this stage because I'm trying to focus as much as possible on using the Pro channel. There is a shaper plugin that I favor in the effects rack stage, but I decided to go with the shaper plugin that is native to the Pro channel. Again, that could change later. And then I gave as I said, I gave the kick and the snare and the drums in the drums bus a separate reverb tailored for drums. And in the effects rack of that bus, I put something called Channel Tools. Now, Channel Tools does several things, but it's essentially a spatializer. Well, that's one of the main things it does. Just listen to the difference. I'm gonna A/B on and off the channel tools. I'll show you what it looks like here. So the preset is called Increase Ambience. All right, and this is what that sounds like. Didn't tweak anything down here. Didn't touch anything down here. Just the preset. Increase ambience. I happen to like this preset, so just listen to what it does.
Jaws designed to chew above perfection and split it into flaws.
That's off and on.
The only thing that gives me pause is that gorilla.
If it's too subtle, let me just solo the drums and have a listen. Channel Tools. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. I didn't have the effects track selected. Okay. All right. I'll start with Channel Tools off. And now on. You can hear a difference. It is subtle. All right. It goes like this. All right. Well, apparently my studio view camera cut out. I'm going to pause and see if I can't fix it. Hang on. All right, back and got the studio cam reconnected. So where was I? Oh yeah. So the difference with the ambience, increased ambience setting in Channel Tools is something like, if you listen carefully in the stereo field to the left and right, you can hear a slight expansion this way. From here to like there. From here to like there. You can hear a slight left and right expansion in the stereo field. Just makes the drums sound a little bit more stereo, even though I haven't panned them left and right. Listen again. Okay, so channel tools off and on. You hear that? It's subtle, but it makes a difference. So unsoloed the whole mix.
Jaws designed to chew above perfection.
Off.
And split it into flaws when I
On.
am blocking my escape. The only thing that gives me pause is that gorilla.
All right. So that's what I've done with the drums. I did re-level them a little bit as we were listening to the playback. Says here master channel is peaking around minus 2.5. That's fine. That's fine.
Jaws designed to chew up perfection and spit it into flaws when
Yeah, that's about where I want to be. Okay. So I've got the snare at minus 7.4, the kick at minus 12.3. I do have, as you see, I've got a rather extreme EQ setting in the Pro channel for the snare. I really wanted to distinguish it from the kick. Here you see I've got the kick enhanced in the bass frequencies with a little bit of an enhancement in the trebles as well. Now bear in mind this is in the Pro channel. This is before it hits the effects rack. And same here. See post. Okay, I'm not going to deal with that right now. Hang on, I got to go back to track view for just a second and check something. Let me see. All right. Hang on. All right. Okay, yeah. Everything's kosher, as they say. Okay, so now we're getting into plugins in the effects rack. I've already inserted them. I've already tweaked them. I'm going to show you how to do that, how to insert and all that. But right now, just listen to what these are doing. So first, I'm going to I'm going to solo the kick and the snare together, and I'm going to just turn the effects racks off, and we're just going to listen to them before the effects rack, before the plug-in stage, with that disabled and then enabled. Okay. All right, let's start with the kick. Let's solo the kick off and on. Now that's, I used a cardboard box. That sounds a lot more like a cardboard box. Now let me turn the plug-in on, and that sounds a lot more like a real kick drum. So what did I add? What did I do? A plugin called SK10 Sub Kick Simulator. All right, so you see it's got a low pass setting, a mix setting, and an output setting. There are times when you can, there's something called unity gain, and that's part of gain staging. The rule of thumb is that you want the gain at the input, in terms of levels, you want the input gain and the output volume to be the same. But there are times when you can break that rule of thumb, and it's not going to hurt anything. All right. So I chose to violate that rule of thumb right here for this part, just because that's what my ears told me to do. Sounds more like a real kick, and I like it. That's mix on 100, right? But that wasn't quite audible enough in the mix. Look at about right there. All right. So that's what that plugin's doing, and it's really it's performing a function, and it's doing it well. Now what's going on with the snare? Effects rack off. That sounds a lot like that board game box I was whacking. Now listen to it with the when I enable the effects rack. Sounds a lot more like a dry snare. Dry meaning the chains that give it the rattle have been tightened. We don't have the rattle. Okay, but it sounds a lot more like a snare. So let's see what I used to make that happen. First, I've got an exciter plug-in that I usually use in the mastering stage on the whole mix, but and once again I violated the unity gain staging rule of thumb. Here's input at 0.0, here's output at 6.2. It's a no-no, but you know what, it's one track at a pretty low volume. You know, it's not going to cause problems in the mix as a whole. I'm using this as an effect. All right, this is not a compressor. It's not going to do anything extreme. It's not going to have negative repercussions. All right. So let's listen to it. Let's just A/B this exciter plug-in. This is what it's called. It's an exciter. Just let's hear what it does. This makes it brighter. Makes it brighter. And this is one of my favorite plugins right here. I use this a lot. It's an effect. It's a compressor. It's an affected compressor. A very useful compressor. It's useful both on individual tracks, and it can also be useful on the master bus. It can be useful in mastering. You know, if it's used it's very, very subtly. This is a plugin that can be used in very extreme ways or very subtle ways. It's got a lot of flexibility. So here's how I'm using it. It's called the Finisher Micro. This one's a little bit hard to get. You got to jump through a few hoops to get it, but it's worth it. I can maybe show you how to get it later on. If you really want this one, you know, put it in the comments. How do I get that thing? Because you're going to see it come up again and again and again in these tutorials, and you might decide that if you get into this, you might decide you need to have this one. All right, so this is first of all, just listen to, let's A/B it, just listen to what it does, what it's doing in this particular case. So it's adding its own kind of reverb. Here it's got a bunch of different settings. This is the amount. Okay, this is the intensity of the effect and the compression, sort of, right? It's kind of a mix knob. And this is the mode or the type of effect that's being applied. This one's called Simple Ambience. I'm not going to go through all of them, but just to give you an idea of, here's another thing I thought about doing with it. You notice that it has an input stage, it has input gain, it has output volume. And I adjust that by dragging the triangle up and down. And I've got this tweaked down a little bit on the output. So in this case, the input's at 0.0 and the output is dialed down a little bit, because that's where my ears told me it was best. but I'm going to turn it to a setting called jet plane and hear what it does. Yeah, which is cool, you know. The only problem with it is that on some hits it doesn't cut through the mix, like that one. Listen to it in the mix. Again, it's pretty cool, but for a snare, I want something, you know, more consistent. Let's just try another setting. Here's one that I considered: distortion.
Jaws designed to chew upon perfection and spit it into flaws when I am plotting my escape. The only
It's got more of a snare rattle sound, actually. That's why I considered it. Let's solo it. Sounds more like a wet snare, you know, a snare with the rattle, the chains rattling. The problem with it is, listen. There's some noise in between the transients. There's noise in between there that's being introduced by the effect, and I don't want that noise. By comparison, listen to it in jet plane. There's no noise between the transients. No noise between the beats. Again, listen to it in distortion. You can hear a little hum. I don't want that. I don't want that noise, even though it's very soft. I don't want it. Again, it's cool because it sounds more like a snare.
jaws designed to chew upon perfection and spit it into flaws when I am plotting my escape. The only thing that gives me pause is that gorilla in the corner of the room. That gorilla in the corner of the room.
On balance, I want a good, consistent snare that sounds, you know, like a dry snare. I'm happy with that. So the Finisher Micro, it's an amazing plugin. It's very useful. I mean, I've used it to, create keyboard sounds with my guitar. That's one thing. All kinds of things you can do with this plugin. So here, I'm using it to make a nice snare sound. All right, so that's what these plugins are doing for the kick and the snare. Let's go on to, and you've heard what Channel Tools does. So we're getting towards the end here of this one. I just want to go over what's going on in the main vocal track with these plugins right here. So first, let's A/B the vocal. First, without the effects rack, without the plugins. So it's off.
Jaws designed to chew upon perfection and spit it into flaws when I am plotting my escape. The only thing that gives me pause is that gorilla in the corner of the room.
Okay, you heard the echo disappear, and also without the plugins, again, the voice has that woolliness that disappears when I enable the plugins. So let's listen back again. I'm gonna first plugins off, and then I'll enable them.
Jaws designed to chew up our perfection and spit it into flaws. When I am plotting my escape, the only thing that gives me pause is that gorilla in the corner of the room. That gorilla in the corner of the room.
I like clarity. All right. And, I'm willing to sacrifice certain things for clarity. I'm willing to sacrifice a certain amount of oomph, a certain amount of, even sometimes a certain amount of power for the sake of clarity. That's my taste. So, what did I do here? Let's start with TDR Nova is one of the most revered and versatile free plugins out there. It's an absolute must-have. I still haven't learned all of the ways it can be used. I know of most of the different ways it can be used. I still haven't really gone down that learning curve on this particular plugin. I have a handful of ways that I use it, but I actually need to do a deep dive into this plugin and really learn it. TDR Nova. TDR is Tokyo Dawn Records. They make a number of free plugins that are phenomenal, and this is the best of them. It's I'm not even gonna. It's many different plugins in one. Put it that way. It's EQ. It's multi-band compression, multi-band EQ. It's a limiter. It can be an exciter, I think. It can do a number of different things. Let me just show you what I'm using it for here. And I've never seen anyone using it this way in any sort of YouTube tutorial on it that I've watched. As far as I know, this is something I just sort of discovered. It's a very unconventional way that I'm using it, I think. But here's what I'm doing. So I'm going to fire it up, and there it is. So I'm not going to explain anything. I'm just going to let you listen to what it does, what it's doing here. All right, but I will tell you that the preset is DS, which is normally that's meant to attenuate a certain frequency band where the S sound can be harsh and kind of like hiss in the ears, called sibilance, and it's a way of attenuating sibilance so it doesn't bother the ear. But I'm not using it that way. What it looks like, I'm inverting it in a weird way. I don't really understand what I'm doing with it. I just know that it works. I happened upon it. I know what it does. I like what it does. I like how it sounds. And so this is just something I do without totally understanding technically what's going on. And that's okay. I'll get around to figuring it out technically. But with that said, let's go ahead, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to disable this compressor, and I'm going to disable this vocal strip. We'll get to those. And just listen to it, and I'll disable TDR Nova and listen to it before and after.
Jaws designed to chew up our perfection and spit it into flaws. When I am plotting my escape, the only thing that gives me pause is that gorilla in the corner of the room. That gorilla in the corner of the room. He's so heavy.
massive, massive wool shaver and clarifier, this particular setting. All right, that's what it looks like. DS preset. The DS preset looks like this, and I dial it up, and then I just take this yellow line and I drag it all the way down. Oh, and I set. Here's the way it looks when you dial it up. It looks like that, because those S frequencies happen somewhere around here, between 5 and 7,000 hertz, and I just drag it up here to 10,000. That's the sweet spot that I found right there. Up and to the right a little bit, and then I drag this yellow slider all the way down.
Jaws designed to chew above perfection and spit it into flaws. When I am plotting my escape, the only thing that gives me pause.
That's just so nice. I love what that does. It makes my voice tolerable to my own ear. All right. Moving on. This is a compressor called the colored compressor. And I'm not going to go through all the knobs, That's tedious and takes too much time. I'm going to just show you the plugins that I use. If you get into this and start doing it on your own, you can go download them and install them and play around with them yourself, and just play with the knobs. Use your ears. You'll know what sounds good to you and what doesn't. A lot of it's just your own trial and error. Just going to point you the way. So listen to it before and after I enable the plugin.
Jaws designed to chew above perfection and spit it into flaws. When
Off.
I am plotting my escape, the only thing
On.
that gives me pause is that gorilla in the corner of
Off.
the room. That gorilla in the corner of the room. He's so heavy, so heavy.
Okay, again, more presence and more clarity. It almost sounds a little bit louder, but it's really not. It's just more clear, more present. Words that otherwise kind of get a little bit buried in the frequencies, they pop out. The lyrics, certain words that were kind of a little hard to make out, this just makes them clear. It's doing a lot of different things. And finally, last but certainly not least, now notice I've got EQ first in the chain. After the signal passes through the EQ, it passes into the compressor. This is the way I generally like to do things. Sometimes I'll put the EQ after the compressor. But generally this is the way I start. And then let's look at this thing. Now, this is native to Cakewalk. You can see it's got Cakewalk on the panel here. After you install Cakewalk, it doesn't come up in your plugin menu. You have to go in under the hood of Cakewalk and make it available. It's not complicated or anything, but you have to know how to do it. I'm not going to do it in this tutorial, but there's this called the vocal strip, and then there's another one called the percussion strip. They're quite similar. And this one has 5 stages in it. It's got a de-esser, which I haven't done that yet. It's got a compressor and an expander in one stage. Haven't turned on the compressor in this thing, or the tube equalizer. Got an equalizer. Haven't messed with any of these. I've only made use of the doubler and the delay. That's where the delay is coming from. Is from this this plugin. And first, let's listen to what the doubler does. I'm going to turn off the delay, and I'm going to turn off the doubler. So, doubler. What does that imply? Okay, so one way that you can thicken and enhance a recorded vocal performance is, many singers do this, is to sing the vocal part twice. And of course, you're a human being, you're not a robot. No matter how accurate and precise a singer you are, no two takes are going to be exactly the same. Not exactly the same, right? Each take might hit all the notes perfectly, but there are just going to be slight differences and variations. And then, so those two takes played simultaneously together, it's going to be just a little bit thicker. There's going to be more presence. They can be panned a little bit, stereo separated, and so then it widens the vocal into the stereo field left and right. And so you can see that there are two knobs in the doubler stage: presence and stereo, right? So this simulates vocal doubling, what that's called. It's a simulator for that. So, now sometimes I do double tracks, but vocal tracks. But in this case, I really like this doubler. I like what it does. And so here's what it does.
Jaws designed to chew up perfection.
On.
And spit it into flaws when I am plotting.
I'll just play with the knobs. Again, off.
That gorilla in the corner of the room. That gorilla in the corner of the room.
Watch the graph over on the right.
He's so heavy.
See the circles getting bigger and smaller, disappearing and reappearing. Stereo. That's where I favor it, right about there, in general. And now the delay. You might have noticed that I timed the delay to the tempo, so that when there are those stops, those pauses, you hear the delay in time to the tempo, and I did that with the time knob right here. Feedback is how many repeats, how many times it repeats, and level is the relative volume of the repeats, the level of the repeats relative to the original signal. Okay, so I'm going to turn that on, and so one effect this has on a continuous basis during playback of the vocal track is that it has a thickening effect. All right, just has a thickening. It thickens the vocal track, makes it more present. You can overdo it. I might have even overdone it a little bit here. I'm probably going to dial it back a little bit. Let's listen to it off and then on.
Jaws designed to chew up perfection and
On.
split it into flaws. When I am plotting my escape, the only thing that gives me pause is that gorilla in the corner of the room. That gorilla in the corner of the room.
Wait a minute. Oh, I've made a what's going on here? Why isn't the delay?
That
I'm gonna pause here while I figure out what the hell's going on. Hang on. That's embarrassing. The whole time I was fooling around with the doubler, I thought, that's strange. Why am I not hearing more of a difference? All right, so I had you might have noticed I hadn't enabled this vocal strip over here. All right, so let's go back and listen to what the doubler does again. Delay off. Doubler.
That gorilla in the corner of the room. He's so heavy.
There we go.
So heavy.
Right?
He's so heavy.
Now stereo. I was wondering, like, maybe it's more subtle than I. Gosh, this doubler is a lot more subtle than I remember. Yeah, so subtle that you can't even hear what it's doing. Anyway, now you can. That's what the doubler does, right? And it makes my awful voice begin to actually sound kind of cool, to me at least. Now let's
that gorilla in the corner of the room.
All right, so now with the delay.
That gorilla in the corner of the room.
Well, that might not be to your taste. I like that. I've always liked stuff like that. But it also has that thickening effect, right? So, and once again, like if I take the feedback all the way down, listen.
That gorilla in the corner of the room.
And it only repeats once. Turn it up a little bit.
That gorilla in the corner of the room.
Right? Once and then faintly a second time. Turn it up to 12 o'clock.
That gorilla in the corner of the room.
Okay, now I had it set up a little bit higher than that.
That gorilla in the corner of the room.
A little bit, I like it just a little bit more.
That gorilla in the corner of the room.
Just a little bit more.
That gorilla in the corner of the room.
Yeah. Let me turn on the level. You can hear that, how difference that makes.
That gorilla in the corner of the room.
You don't hear those repeats much at all there. 12 o'clock.
That gorilla in the corner of the room.
Barely hear them. 2 o'clock.
That gorilla in the corner of the room.
Yeah, it's good. Right, I just like it a little bit more than that.
That gorilla in the corner of the room. He's so heavy.
Listen how it gets thicker.
That gorilla in the corner of the room. He's so heavy, so heavy. He's so heavy, so heavy.
To my ears, the compression stage is not doing any favors to me. It's not improving not bringing anything to the party that's pleasant. And building a song and a mix is it's a lot like organizing and hosting a party. You don't want the washing machine ending up in the pool, and you don't want like projectile vomiting on the carpet, and you want a nice soiree, people dancing who are good at dancing, people singing who are good at singing. You don't want a bunch of destructive, drunken retards in your party. Or maybe you do. Yeah. There's all kinds of mixes. There's all kinds of tastes and sensibilities. Some mixes to me just sound like bedlam. Yeah. Anyway, that should be enough for now. Is there anything I want to add? I think I've pretty much gone over everything. I haven't... oh, what the hey. Haven't added anything, any plug-in to the guitar. So, before we go, let's just experiment. Let's go into the plugins. And now the plugins are organized by category. I can also organize them by manufacturer, by type, but generally by category. Functionality. What do they do? And I think that for the guitar, why not? Let's do the wild card. Let's go with the Finisher Micro. This is one of my all-time favorite things here. Let's just see if there's... Let's fire up the effects rack on the guitar. And let's sweep through the settings and just see what happens.
That gorilla in the corner of the room.
Ooh.
He's so heavy, so heavy.
Sounds like a bunch of mandolins or something.
That gorilla.
That might be okay if I were to automate that to come in like only during certain sections of the song, and that's possible probably. Yeah, it's possible. Anything's possible, but I don't want that all throughout the song. I could make it more subtle, you know. I could dial down the output stage, like down to here.
That gorilla in the corner of the room.
But that brings down the overall level of the guitar, right? So anyways, I'm not going to use that.
That gorilla in the corner of the room. He's so heavy, so heavy.
It's kind of cool.
He's so heavy.
Space grinder. I'm not going to play with a mount very much. I'll leave it at 12 o'clock. Cabinet and room.
Left behind still when I'm groping for my keys. The only thing I seem to find is that gorilla in the corner of the room.
A little bit too extreme again for the whole song. Earth to ISS. Old radio. Rotor cab. I don't recommend auto panning.
His face is like a coat of honor graven.
It's really annoying for a whole song.
Never says a word, but he won't leave me
Home filter.
alone. His eyes shine like a blizzard on the telephone.
Straight up compressor.
Sometimes he tries to laugh, but
Vibrato.
it just comes out a groan. For he remembers
It's a-
the garden well.
It's a pitch modulation effect.
And the flaming shapes of hell.
Generally not recommended for a whole track.
He's so heavy.
Lo-fi.
He's so heavy. He's so heavy.
Flanger.
He's so heavy.
Chorus. It's nice actually.
It's a sickness I know, but ever since my youth,
Dial it down a little bit.
have entertained the hope of ascertaining the truth. Meanwhile, who knows how many blue moons have gone by and then poof, I just been chasing dancing cats across a hot tin roof to now the postulate of which the one and only proof is that gorilla in the corner of the room. That gorilla in the corner of the room. He's so heavy, so heavy. He's so heavy.
Facer.
so heavy.
No. But listen to what it does.
He's so heavy, so heavy. He's so heavy, so heavy, so heavy, so heavy.
It's cool, actually.
So heavy.
And we can use all this stuff, but not this way. That's really cool. That's a tempo-based use of the effect, right? Now I'm thinking of ways of using some of these. Not this way though. Another way that I'll get into maybe the next installment here. Let's just finish going around the wheel here. Going back to the beginning. Still in phaser. Doesn't sound like an acoustic guitar anymore, does it? Sounds like a synth or something. Isn't that fun?
Well, I have had it up to here with all their fake ass laws. I am nothing but
I like this more and more.
a probable cause. Sometimes I think this world ain't nothing but a set of heavy jaws designed to chew up our perfection and spit it into flaws
But I want some of that acoustic guitar sound. That's gonna get old by the middle of the song, I think. Okay, but still use it. Oh, okay. Let's back at the beginning again, and all right.
Well, I have had it up to here with all their fake ass laws. I am nothing but a walking case of probable cause. Sometimes I think
All right, there are different ways to utilize these effects, but not have them completely bury and sort of dominate and take over the acoustic guitar sound. So I think that's a. I think I'll make a shorter tutorial on that subject tomorrow. I don't know what I'll call it, but figure something out. So for now, I'm just going to leave finisher micro right there, but I'm going to disable it. And we'll go back to the just the acoustic guitar sound. See, we're peaking minus 1.5. That's fine. It's acceptable right now. Sounding pretty good to my ears, and we're still not done with the percussion section. We've got some other things to do. Got some sound effects to add. But pretty soon we're going to be getting to the end of let's say we'll call it the microphone mix. Everything that we're going to be tracking through the microphone, and that'll be like a demonstration of all the things you can do and achieve if if you're limited to a USB, external USB condenser microphone, and this one is not a particularly fancy one. It doesn't have any of the bells and whistles that you'll probably have when you get yours. And then after that, I'm going to take it to another level with my audio interface. And show you what you can do. You know, if you also have an audio interface. All right, so that's it for now. It's about 2:30 in the morning here. This has gone on a good long time, and yeah, I'm not wisecracking tonight, but then again, you know, long-suffering missus is sound asleep, and I'm feeling subdued. I'm in the mood for, yeah, I want to be informative. I hope this has been, if nothing else, informative, instructive. And YouTube, I'll go be damned. I'm going to keep going. Going to keep going no matter what. And yeah, tomorrow I'm going to dedicate some time to getting all these tutorials transferred over to Rumble. And see what Rumble's algo is like. And some other things. I gotta go back to the alcoholics threads on Reddit. And gotta go out and try to find you guys and point you the way over here. Once again, maybe, you know, not for everybody, but for some of you out there who are struggling with addiction, dependency of, you know, alcohol and or other substances. Yeah, this can be a quite integral component of the recovery process. So that's why I'm putting it out there. If you are struggling, my heart goes out to you, as always. And just remember that no matter how crummy you might feel, I hate to sound trite, but you are loved. And you're worth far more than you know. Just don't give up, man. Stick with it. And find things that are better to do with your time and energy. Like this. I mean, you know, go back and listen to that dry signal compared to now. You know, look how far we've come in a pretty short time, and you know, we're only maybe halfway there. Yeah. Hang in there. Stick with it. You can do it. Reach out to me in the comments. Say hello. I answer. All right. Alcoholic Audio Engineer signing off here in lovely scenic Paju City, South Korea. See you anon. Over and out.